I never thought suburban life could be more dangerous than war zones. But one morning, I walked out to find my sanctuary fence sliced wide open. Bison tracks leading straight into the neighborhood and sirens screaming as chaos erupted. By the time I reached the street, children were crying, cars honked, and a full-grown bull stood blocking traffic. And the worst part, the footage I carried in my pocket proved exactly who had set it all in motion, the HOA president herself. My name is Daniel Tate. 24 years in the Army, 3 tours overseas, 2 failed marriages, 1 son I barely knew. After retirement, I wanted silence, the kind that didn't feel like waiting for a mortar to drop. I bought 20 acres outside Maple Hollow, a quiet patch of plains. Later, I took in rescue bison, 24 of them scarred from rodeos abandoned by private zoos, calves separated too young. They gave me something the military never did: clarity. Bison don't lie. If they're angry, they show it. If they trust you, they walk beside you in silence. I built fences, double gates, alarms. I walked the perimeter every morning. My house sat at the far edge of the property, an A-frame with solar panels and a wraparound porch where I took my coffee at 5:30 sharp. For 3 years, life was steady. Then Karen moved in. Karen Langley. Beige, stucco, McMansion fake smile. Range Rovers stacked in her garage like trophies. She showed up at my porch with lavender scones, introduced herself like we were destined to be allies. 3 weeks later, she filed her first complaint smell, then flies, then a ridiculous claim that one of my bison looked aggressively at her child. I offered her a tour of the sanctuary paperwork and all. She never came. Instead, letters kept landing in my mailbox. At first, I ignored them. I figured she'd get bored. But Karen wasn't like other complainers. She had a smile that stretched too wide, words sharp as sugar glass. Soon, neighbors started whispering. A dog walker said Karen asked if she ever felt unsafe near my fence. Another guy told me Karen wanted warning signs posted for dangerous wildlife. I brushed it off. I'd dealt with power-drunk officers and the Army people who used paperwork like bullets. But when my mailbox was slashed and 2 of my security cameras went dark, the air shifted. I replaced them, adjusted the sensors. Still, I told myself it couldn't be her. Not yet. Then came the drone. A black quadcopter hovering low over the herd, spooking the calves. I traced it across the sky and watched it zip right back into Karen's patio. That's when I knew she wasn't just filing complaints. She was watching me, waiting for me to snap. I didn't. Instead, I documented everything: letters, footage, timestamps. My lawyer friend Malcolm chuckled when he saw the stack. "They've got no jurisdiction," he said, "but they'll try to make your life hell until you break. Don't give them that satisfaction." I tried. I really did. But the night I found fresh hoof prints outside the gate with no breach in sight, my stomach dropped. A new camera, hidden in the trees, caught a shadowy figure carrying something long and thin, maybe shears, maybe a pole right near the fence. Footage glitched out. Convenient. I showed up at the next HOA meeting, not because I had to, but because I wanted the record straight. 30 people packed the room. Karen stood by the podium, fake smile glued on. She spun a story about an unregulated livestock facility threatening property values and community safety. Heads nodded. When she finished, I stood calm as I could and laid out the facts: federal licensing, USDA permits, 0 incidents. Then I pulled out a photo of the shadow at my fence. "Trespassing on wildlife property is a felony," I said. "I'll be forwarding this to the sheriff tomorrow." Silence. Eyes darted. Karen's smile twitched, but she didn't flinch. For a while, things went quiet. Then, the pink ribbon letter arrived at my gate, a so-called courtesy notice urging me to relocate the herd, restore pasture land, and hide the sanctuary behind privacy fencing. Signed by Karen and something called the Neighborhood Harmony Task Force. That was the moment I cracked. I sat at my kitchen table staring at the paper, thinking maybe they were right. Maybe I was the problem. Maybe I should just sell the land, move on, give up the fight before something worse happened. I hated myself for thinking it. I felt tired, small, like maybe all those years in uniform meant nothing here. But then I walked outside. Dusty the calf I'd bottle-fed trotted up to me. Red-Eye, the stubborn bull who once rammed my ATV, stood calm at the fence line. They looked at me the way only animals can know judgment, just trust. And I realized I couldn't abandon them. They were my mission now. I filed a formal complaint with the sheriff, packed the courtesy notice into my growing log folder, and prepared for war. War came fast. Warning signs appeared along the private road, wild animals nearby. Not a petting zoo. They weren't mine. Facebook posts painted me as reckless. Anonymous comments suggested it would take a kid getting hurt before something changed. That one chilled me. I refused to wait for the next strike. I hosted an open day at the sanctuary. Neighbors came fed the bison, listened to the sheriff's liaison confirm 0 incidents, full compliance. Even skeptics walked away smiling. Karen sat in her SUV at the hilltop, sunglasses hiding her eyes. She didn't wave. She didn't need to. Her story was slipping. That's when she got desperate. Cameras caught her in a black hoodie, pruning shears glinting under flashlights snipping my fence. I sent the footage straight to the sheriff. "We can't prove intent," a deputy said, "but we're opening a file." Not enough. A few nights later, the alarm blared. I ran Boots' half-laced flashlight in hand straight to the northeast corner. Posts bent outward. Mesh peeled like a gaping wound. Tracks led out. At least a dozen. By dawn, chaos consumed Ridgewood. Red-Eye parked himself in the middle of Oak Trail Drive, chewing grass while police cruisers formed a perimeter. One bull tore through someone's flower bed. Calves bolted past the playground. And there was Karen yoga gear pristine, screaming at officers that this was my fault. I walked up silent and handed the deputy the clearest footage I had. Karen with her saw face half lit cutting the fence. The deputy looked from the paper to her. For the first time, Karen's mask cracked. Fear flickered in her eyes. Headlines hit immediately. Bison stampede shakes suburbia. HOA under Farsiwe. Memes of Red-Eye blocking roads captioned "Not today." Karen. Neighbors who once ignored me now wore T-shirts that read "Protect the Sanctuary." The city council called a hearing. Karen's lawyers argued she acted out of fear. They claimed the footage was doctored. When my turn came, I stood at the podium and didn't need notes. I told them about Luna, the calf struck dead on County Road 218 after Karen's sabotage. I described burying her myself under the oak tree while Dusty huffed beside her grave. I let the footage play clear, time-stamped, undeniable. The chamber fell silent. Karen's smile was gone. Her husband nowhere in sight. Council members issued a formal censure against her, and the Ridgewood HOA suspended her indefinitely and cleared the sanctuary of all fault. Weeks later, a jury ordered her to pay nearly $250,000 in damages, fencing repairs, vet bills, livestock loss, punitive penalties. The criminal charges stuck too. No prison, but a felony record. She packed up house listed for sale, and by the time summer rolled in, she was gone, vanished from Ridgewood like a ghost. She didn't leave with an apology. No farewell newsletters, no yard sale, no last-ditch smile. Just an empty house blinds stripped a lockbox on the door. I didn't celebrate. I didn't feel victorious. I just walked the perimeter that night, listening to the herd breathe in steady rhythm, stronger fence humming behind me. Karen had tried to break me. She failed, because some fences aren't just steel and posts. They're the line between being controlled and standing free.